Christina Boyer is serving life in prison plus 20 years for the 1992 murder of her 3-year-old daughter, Amber. It's a crime she says she did not commit, that she wasn't even there when it happened.
Did you kill your daughter?
No, ma'am, I did not. I did not kill my daughter.
Say hi, Mommy.
Now, more than 30 years after Amber's death, Christina has amassed a global network of amateur detectives and dedicated law students convinced of her innocence. They call themselves Team Christina.
We knocked on doors, we spoke with members of the community, we spoke with key witnesses, we spoke with the investigators.
And now Demons and Saviors, a new Hulu series, seeks to unearth what really happened.
She might spend the rest of her life in prison because she's not going to admit she did something she didn't do.
Say hi. Hi.
Christina looks like this sweet, innocent little person that's been railroaded, but Christina has that ability to come across one way and then behave completely differently in private.
What was your childhood like?
Rough.
Christina grew up in a home where she says she suffered emotional, physical, and sexual abuse at the hands of her adopted family.
My brother started molesting me when I was 12 years old. I told my mother. My mother just slapped me and told me that I was making up lies, and he went on to go to prison for sex crimes.
In the midst of this, Christina became swept up in a strange phenomenon. Some claim she had supernatural powers.
Things started happening in my home. I went downstairs to watch cartoons, and the TV volume kept blaring or changed the channel. And from there, it went crazy.
Her parents called an exorcist, and then the local newspaper, whose photographer captured this infamous image, appearing to move a phone with her mind.
That first picture with the phone going across my lap, I felt validated because you can plainly see my hands are not on the phone.
In the mid-'80s, there were horror movies galore. The idea there are witches, people who possess otherworldly powers.
Christina became known as the poltergeist girl and became a national media sensation. But later at a press conference, Christina was caught on camera, pulling a lamp down, not moving it with her mind.
All I wanted to do was have something to eat and go spend the night somewhere else, and I couldn't until something happened.
Grace Perrette and Lizzie Porterfield learned about Christina's case in class while students at Georgetown University.
What do you make of the alleged telekinetic powers?
Looking at this 14-year-old kid who's gone through trauma already, and then suddenly there's all this attention on her. You know, there's priests and there's reporters, and she grabbed onto that because what child wouldn't?
At 16, Christina ran away, bouncing from one bad relationship to another, eventually escaping an abusive husband and landing in Carrollton, Georgia. She says the only good thing to come out of that chapter was her daughter, Amber.
I was trying to be a good mom to Amber. The way that I looked at it is anybody that I dated would have to be somebody that I considered a potential father figure for her. That's when I met David.
David Heron was a local and a father himself. The two started dating.
He came from a very good family. I could tell by his physique that he worked hard. You know, he had a nice, muscular body.
Then, on April 14th, 1992, Christina left Amber with David for the afternoon. When she came back, her daughter was unresponsive.
I was screaming at him to come on and drive me to the hospital.
Doctors tried to save her, but couldn't.
I'm asking David, what happened? Why does she look like that? All he keeps saying is he's sorry. He's sorry. Sorry for what?
The medical examiner said Amber was a clear victim of child abuse and declared her death a homicide.
This is a mannequin that was used to help indicate where Amber Bennett's injuries were. This is a classic representation for a case of fatal child abuse.
Christina was arrested along with David for Amber's murder, even though Christina wasn't home at the time.
By the time they brought her to the hospital, she was at least brain dead, if not deceased by that point. Scientifically, Christina could not have inflicted that injury.
Her boyfriend David suggested Christina killed Amber when he was being interrogated.
Who do you think done that? Well, I guess Christine. That's what I'm thinking. I mean, because like I said, it's just me or her was the only ones with her.
If you didn't kill her, who did?
I have to assume that David did. She was alive when I left the house. She was dead when I returned home. He was the only one that was there.
Prosecutors building the case against Christina, interviewing witnesses who said the young mom had been violent.
She had a short temper. She slapped her in the mouth one time.
Christina tore her little butt up.
Even if all of this stuff happened, hitting a child is bad, slapping a child is bad, all of those things are bad. But it's not murder.
You know, when people talk about Team Christina and all these people that go to bat for her, I don't know if they're misguided, but they certainly haven't bothered to open their mind to all the possibilities.
The hospital workers said they identified the bruises and the injuries on Amber's body as a severe case of child abuse. What do you make of that?
They're going to say a lot of things to make it look as sensational as they can. I'm not saying that Amber's body was not bad. It was. But I'm being held responsible for something that I didn't do.
Amber's brutal death sending shockwaves through the small Georgia town where she lived.
Because she wasn't from here, I think that they quickly arrived at an opinion of her, and it wasn't good.
She was this outsider who had a supposed paranormal past, was a single mom.
Facing the death penalty at just 22 years old, Christina took an Alford plea where she accepted a guilty charge but maintained her innocence.
Do you regret that decision?
Yes, because quite frankly, I would rather be dead than to suffocate alive here.
The investigation into Christina was more focused on the circumstances around Christina and how she was as a mother, and not about the actual facts of the case.
At his trial, David Herron was convicted of abusing Amber, but not murder, and was released after 15 years.
What happened is clear. Amber suffered a fatal injury, and the only witness to the how and who of Amber's death is David Herron.
Christina remains behind bars more than 30 years later.
Since she was convicted, she's been through 9 parole denials.
Georgetown students Grace and Lizzie confronted the former prosecutor, Pete Skandalakis.
I don't know what happened to that child in that house during that 3 or 4 day period. I don't know. I do know they're both equally responsible.
It doesn't feel like equal responsibility, though. If one person
I understand
causes
what
death.
you're saying.
There is a lot at stake in terms of who struck that fatal blow.
In all probability, the one that was the most physical with that child was probably Christina.
But why is it not important to know who struck that blow?
Because I'll never know that.
I think the subtext is that you guys are naive. That, you know, that she's manipulative and therefore you've been manipulated.
Give her an Oscar. We've known her for 4 years at this point, and she's maintained the same story for 32 years.
Our thanks to Juju. Demons and Saviors, the new docuseries from ABC News Studios and Latchkey Film, is streaming now on Hulu.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.